The book that I chose to read is Too Big to Know: Rethinking Knowledge Now That Facts Aren't the Facts, Experts Are Everywhere, and the Smartest Person in the Room is the Room. Written by David Weinberger and published in first in 2012. So I think at the outset of choosing this book, I chose it because it was a timely topic. I figured that exploring kind of where we are with social media and news and what is true and what is not true, and how we gain and gather knowledge in an internet based world would be topical. However, the fact that it was published and written in 2012, it is a little naive, I should say, in its attention to kind of the potential goodness and the potential downfall of the internet itself, and it holds on to a little bit of its preciousness regarding the old ways of collecting knowledge and disseminating knowledge. So I kind of there's a lot of hand wringing over what was traditionally categorized as knowledge in the written form, and what was understood of the internet. They said the internet had no edges. It was devoid of kind of the editorial process that we have come to know and expect when using libraries or mainstream newspaper sources, the New York Times, Washington Post, etc., where there are hordes of smart people that take all of the information that is out there and kind of put the clamp on the fire hose to, so we can handle it, so we can understand it, so we can kind of figure out what it all means. So I think from the lens of 2012, there's concern that is going away, and honestly, there's a naive hope that the internet will be kind of this utopian knowledge sharing space. They do hint at some issues, some early attempts at kind of creating this interwoven network of people that can figure things out and talk about things where the Republican Party or a newspaper opens a forum where ideas are solicited from the public, and much to their surprise, to their chagrin, what they are greeted with, instead of the sharing of knowledge. And kind of a la what we've learned about Wikipedia, it is more pornographic images and just nonsense. So I think where this book falls short is it's not so much that it doesn't, that it wasn't well intended. I think it's just, honestly, from my perspective, that it was a kind of a poor choice, in that it is now outdated. The book ends kind of giving a list of potential solutions, strengthening and diversifying access to knowledge, making sure that the peer-reviewed data is available to the general public, mandating free and easy access to all socioeconomic layers of society for the internet, and then I believe it referred to it as metadata, so data that backs up the data. But again, I think what we've learned in the 12 years since this book was written, that people aren't taking the time. They're not going to take the time to read the data that backs up the data. And the folks that are smart have figured out how to use that system when you are faced with competing stories on the internet. One is biased one way, one is biased the other way. Or when you were faced with facts, things that are portrayed as facts on the internet, when you look at them, you're going to naturally gravitate towards the one that kind of speaks to your inner beliefs and your core values, and without taking the time to really dive into what's real and what's not, that's always going to be the route that people go. So I think if I had to kind of go at it myself, the room is too big to know. The room is too big to change. The room is too big to control. And I really think at this point, any changes, any positive changes or use of the internet as a source of information and knowledge is really going to be more of an organic, kind of evolutionary growth of it, almost as a, lack of a better word, a life form, because it is basically operating as a giant living, breathing web of information. So I think people will eventually figure it out, but at this point there really is there is no way to control it. So, but as a book, I would say kind of its time has come, and I hope that there is an updated version